So I've worked in the voluntary sector for several years now, and it was specifically working within funding in the voluntary sector that made me go for a dyslexia assessment, which came back to say that I was dyslexic. And recently I've kind of been reflecting on why it was that role specifically that led me to go for a dyslexia assessment. And I think it's because funding is primarily done through written applications, reading written monitoring reports, and then my role consisted of writing monitoring reports. I had several jobs before that I was due to write funding applications, and while I always was able to do that, I always just found it so much easier to talk about the work that we were doing and the impact it was having in person or on a call or over the phone. And when someone asked me to put what I'd said like through conversation and writing, my heart would almost drop. And dyslexia affects everyone totally differently. I'm still learning loads about it, and learning more about myself. One of the big things that has been new information to me is how much dyslexia affects processing information. And sometimes when you're overloaded with information, it can take a wee bit of time to process it and respond as well. And also there's so many strengths to being dyslexic in terms of thinking differently and ways of working. But it's got me thinking about dyslexia within funding as a sector, and also accessibility within funding in the sector. And I'm no way an accessibility expert as well, but it's just got me thinking around, is there ways that funding could be done differently? So many people we speak to currently with their projects can talk through the work that they're doing and the impact it's having in such depth and detail on calls, but sometimes that doesn't translate when people are asked to put that in a form. But I appreciate there's also people that'll much prefer being able to put things in writing than talking things through or doing things in video. But I think it's just around thinking about how do we support everyone to work to their strengths and to work in a way that best suits them, whether it's to support people in terms of accessibility support, but also if it's just supporting people to work to their strengths, and how do we create a culture where that's easily done or supported. I feel currently in funding, if anything is done through video or voice note, it's kind of not the normal. And often they'll get in touch with a funder beforehand, or the video, people feel like it needs to be really fancy and really singing and dancing in order to be submitted with a funding application, instead of just sitting down and doing a video like this as well. So yeah, that's kind of recently been my reflections. So I guess if you're currently working in funding and you've seen any good examples of funding applications or monitoring being done differently, or you'd like to just be involved in the conversation as I kind of start to think about this or look at it in terms of the sector and how we best support people in the way that they work, then please just drop me an email, get in touch. I'm more than happy to chat at any point, and I definitely don't have all the answers yet, but I'm looking to start a conversation around this. So yeah, that's me.